This video is intended to describe a lightblade talisman named Conviction. Joining me today will be my whimsical stick figure chakra map, which I'll be referencing quite a bit for various chakra stimulation points, which will make more sense as the crystalline dissertation is underway. And first things first, for this video, I'll start with the primary lightblade scaffolding, seen much like so, framing the entire construct, going into this lateral band, and going up the sides right here to this lateral band to the very apex, which would be the primary lightblade scaffolding of the entire construct, thereby being a perpetual closed-loop circuit which vaguely resembles a figure 8 for maximum vibrational recirculation momentum. So first things first, on this little circuits right here, I'll discuss the transmutation ratio as a great preface of the foundation of the device's scaffolding. So the aspect right here of the transmutation ratio, which is a very large staple in my life's work, is a combination ignition sequence of crystals of hematite and smoky quartz. Hematite is a very strong grounding of all excess energies through the root chakra into the earth stars, into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing, in tandem with smoky quartz performing the same stimulation pathway governance of energy stimulation to firmly ground all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth stars and then into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing. So the two in tandem is what I refer to as the transmutation ratio, based on the vibratory output of these two frequencies in tandem, seen like so, going laterally up the sides right here to this lateral band, right here, being its own little closed loop circuit that works to, of course, ground all the excess energy into the earth, as well as to, of course, make the magic real by firmly grounding this very exotic, high frequency, diverse construct worn as a talisman to encourage the absolute grounding of all the other exotic variables into the earth, to once again make the magic real and be a very powerful etheric dialysis to consistently ground into the earth for consistent reprocessing with a very strong connection to Mother Earth's, kind of like etheric Teflon, if you would, as well, to discharge negativity very much easily, bypass it into the earth for reprocessing or transmutation, to put it quite simply. And also, before I continue on with this rather exotic dissertation, the aspect of having the primary blade band of exotic exotic configuration vibratory emanation grounded in this device will also basically ground this high frequency into the ground point before it completes up here to this red ray stimulation antithesis to the blue ray seen right here. So the aspect of the apex band I'll discuss next, which is where the necklace of course will eventually go right here, is its own ignition sequence of ruby, seen right here. Ruby is a very famous royal antiquity utilized red ray crystal of unsurpassed power in the mineral kingdom. Hence it's a true precious stone that literally everybody's heard of for its very legendary magical connotations. So ruby is the quintessential root chakra stimulant of great notoriety, in tandem with clear quartz to be a neutral acceleration of the energy going into red jasper. Red jasper is the most stable earth vibrational stimulant of the root chakra as well. So when you have the two in tandem of the most intense stimulation and the strongest stabilization, they work in tandem to be the quintessential root chakra stimulant and stabilizer to encourage the strong scaffolding of the physical body and, of course, be very fortifying to the archetypal name of conviction to move forward in courage and strength. Then the primary blade band right here is a rather nice, strong 5th chakra focus as a preface. This right here in the ignition sequence would be rutilated quartz. This is clear quartz with bands of rutile in it, which works as a massive turbocharger, supercharger, accelerant of this entire ignition sequence before it completes its circuit into the transmutation ratio. As well as quartz, of course, is a very neutral ambient intensifier of other frequencies, which would of course be very conducive to the practitioner who will wield this to run the prayers through the whole construct and to intensify the intention and hold a program or an intention. Then going into turquoise, the legendary blue ray stone of great notoriety that was literally praised across the world and is one of those crystals that is a favorite of millions for thousands of years for a good reason. I will omit the full lore of turquoise because that could take another 10 minutes to probably notarize all of it, but quite simply, besides just being a First Nation treasure, it also has famous magical connotations literally across the entire world with great reverence. But the aspect of why turquoise is so relevant is that it takes the aspects of the concepts of the terrestrial four elements of earth, fire, water, and wind and puts it into a fifth chakra focus. So it's very much a stone of clarity, wholeness, and one's highest truth in a very balanced manner. So that's why this is a very praised ancient grandfather ally. Besides its striking attractive beauty, it's also its metaphysical vibratory output is unparalleled for a one's highest truth overlap to be quite simply in resonance with who they are in emanation with creation. And to further emphasize that point right here, after the turquoise, there is golden healer quartz. Golden healer quartz is an amazing gold white light, high heart, source, heart of creation attunement frequency. So obviously me saying that in a vibrational engineering endeavor is self-evidently very amazing and advantageous for any true serious practitioner looking to serve creation by having a nice clean shot of the source alignment through a very complex subroutine of a very dynamic lightblade talisman. So like I mentioned, that goes into turquoise, rutilated quartz, turquoise, and golden healer quartz like so, staggered, all the way until it grounds into the transmutation ratio to basically take the energetic momentum of this primary blade band and ground it back into the ground point right here, which grounds the entire energy of this device through the system into the earth. To, once again, encourage making the magic real. So that would be just the blade band scaffolding mentioned thus far. And the reason that's mentioned first, of course, is to work as a good foundation for all these other extremely exotic frequencies in this entire closed loop construct to give a pathway of energy recirculation through this entire section so that the outer framing will recirculate the energy in perpetual momentum, once again, much very akin to the circulation of a figure eight. And so for all these other extremely exotic high frequency crystals seen right here, they're all, of course, wire wrapped and grounded to a primary wire seen right here consisting of copper, brass, and silver spooled together, seen like so, to work as the main vein or the primary wire, where all these other frequencies yet to be mentioned are grounded into it for to basically, of course, just like a crystalline entity before me, these are all critical organs that all work in vibrational compound interest for a joint emanation field of its entire vibratory output. So down here at the very, very apex is a very powerful specimen of blue-gray zincite. Zincite is a very powerful solar plexus, sacrum, and root chakra stimulant, virtually unrivaled mineral kingdom for a very dynamic lower three activation, which is very conducive to honoring the archetype of conviction. So obviously with the name conviction, this has been designed to be a crystalline vibratory construct to encourage the archetypal name of conviction. It literally has the stones to back it, pun very much intended. So the aspect right there with the zincite makes for such a dynamic, empowering, lower three chakra activation of creativity, the root, as well as one's will to stay strong in their chosen convictions. Then above that right here would be fulgurite, which is actually petrified lightning striking sand. So when lightning actually strikes sand, it makes a very special crystal called fulgurite, which holds the frequency of lightning, which was actually very prolifically utilized as a spirit tool for First Nation shamans to intensify their prayers back to Creator by literally harnessing the power of lightning in resonance to intensify their prayers. So that aspect right there, fulgurite, is definitely mimicking the force of lightning to be a tremendous full light body activator from top to bottom, as well as, of course, intensifying one's manifestations by resonating with lightning to back to spirit, which was the First Nation shaman utilization, particularly of that crystal. So obviously, with having a little dose of lightning through this very complex subroutine gives a lot of intensive light body full activations of the force of lightning being literally harnessed in of its own little caught in a bottle scenario. Very, very powerful metaphysical crystal for that purpose. Then right here would be a very special variety of serpentine called infinitite. Infinitite is a very, very powerful variety of serpentine that works as a full Kundalini light body stimulant of the entire chakra column, yet infinitite has this very special quality of being a very powerful decrystallization of any impediments for the light body seen right here, which also works as a very powerful vibrational shield for the entire auric field as well, to insulate the field from any kind of disturbances and electromagnetic interference we contend with in the modern timeline as humans. So that aspect also is very encouraging for a very full light body healing activation right there. Then above that is a very legendary gold ray crystal named Libyan gold tektite. This was utilized by the pharaohs of old to be carved into scarab beetles for the center of their breastplates, which was indicative of their office of Magi God King, right to rule through divinity. So this crystal has great notoriety in the Egyptian mystery schools and magical utilizations of the Egyptian dynasties. And that's a very cool fact about that. That's definitely worth discussing. But the aspect of Libyan gold tektite, a more pragmatic format right there, is also that it has such a powerful sacrum and solar plexus fire elemental stimulation, as well as a full golden ray of illumination light body stimulation as well. So that works for a very powerful manifestation of one's highest path in connection to Creator as a tremendous dharmic accelerant, to really, of course, live from the sovereign capacity of one's divine blueprint of what indeed they're born to be in connection to creation. I'll be clearing my throat a lot because this is obviously a lot to cover coherently and concisely. So right here next to Libyan gold tektite would be moldavite, seen right here. Moldavite is quite the famous crystal in this day and age. It's quite in vogue for being a crystal of magic. A lovely green ray crystal, if you can see it. Well, it's well concealed because obviously we don't want anything running away while it's in the custody of the recipient, living happily ever after with her, giving them heaven out there. So that's why this guy is very well fortified here, so it does not indeed run away. So the aspect of moldavite is a green ray heart chakra stimulant of storm energy that aligns one's emanations to creation in a very dramatic way. It is the quintessential dharmic accelerant in my humble opinion, and I do really, of course, study crystals pretty excessively, so this is, for what that's worth. It has the quintessential alignment to the heart of creation in a very, very dynamic kick in the pants acceleration way. So this dharmic acceleration of one's connection to creation is very highlighted and focused with moldavite to be the absolute essential alignment to one's divine path manifest in reality, basically, to really dramatically align one's inner world and outer world with the emanations that Creator definitely had the blueprint meant for. Then above that right here would be seraphinite. Seraphinite is a very amazing, versatile crystal named after the seraphim archangels that is very essential in my life's work as well for this particular purpose. The green ray crystal right here is actually a very powerful full light body stimulant of the entire chakra column from bottom to top. Yet the aspect of seraphinite, it works very quickly to dismantle any, malware or stagnancies for the entire chakra column. To dismantle these aspects would be dismantling any aspects of dis-ease, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So in that aspect of being a very versatile, dynamic master healer in its own right is very much why it is so well employed for a very effective full light body healer activator for the recipient, obviously, and also, not to mention, for the recipient's jurisdiction of those they serve in creation. It's a very beneficial angelic frequency to have in the background to encourage a very, very healing, harmonious energy. Then the other side right here would be a very heavy fifth chakra focus to further fortify the truth of being one's conviction. Seen right here is blue lace agate. Blue lace agate is a water elemental stabilizer of the fifth chakra, in my humble opinion, unparalleled in the mineral kingdom. So the aspect of having the most stabilized fifth chakra also encourages one's highest truth in a very stabilized manner, particularly when it comes to aspects of service. And being, of course, in alignment with one's truth, and to convey that truth for those they serve, is a very advantageous concept to have in a crystalline structure. Then above that is another very, very famous blue-ray crystal of great notoriety and antiquity of lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli is a wind elemental 5th and 6th chakra stimulant of very potent magical dynamic higher third eye awakening. So this crystal, of course, is a classic utilizer for any kind of siddhis or psychic gifts to become very presently active to the conscious self of the recipient. So having that little dose of the sovereign high truth of lapis lazuli brings a very powerful higher truth energy stimulation to the entire construct as well, and very complementary once again to, of course, the primary focus, the blue ray of turquoise. Even though this entire construct is very versatile and very dynamic to essentially stimulate the entire chakra column, there of course are distinct focuses of the blue as well as the red up here for distinct purposes to be a very nice complementary antithesis to have the 5th chakra stabilized and stimulate very strongly in tandem with source energy, then to have very strong grounding to make it real and act from those convictions into practicality for what that's worth. And so what I do too is I'll save these selenites over here on the core of the device and the kyanites over here for last as a capstone dissertation as standard. But next we'll be discussing this section right here that actually will have this white leather hood installed like so as a functional part of the construct and far from just being aesthetic. So obviously it's a very loose mock-up of the concept, how it will aesthetically be adhered once this video is fully notarized. But the aspect of this white leather hood indeed has a functional purpose that will be described right now. So the aspect of using white leather will also bring a very nice color ray emanation of the entire vibratory pitch of this device to be the full 7 rays of white combined, which is a color therapy whole harmonizer right there. Then also it works as an insulator of this entire section so that this entire complex network will actually have less energy leakages as it's emanating, so it has more stronger contact patch through the primary and auxiliary blade band up here. So that will, of course, work to insulate the energy for further efficiency and just basically like having no stray energy leaks will work to consolidate the entire pitch from the figure 8 sections as they run their vibration through top to bottom. And also, it works to protect all these subtly stacked crystals that are quite complex under here, which is where the hood is basically, so that, of course, they don't run away and they're always protected and safe. And D, I guess, something I don't value the most for aesthetic purposes, it also looks like a far more finished construct once it's properly installed, of course, which is its own merit, which makes it look a little more aesthetically pleasing, which is a nice little thing. But I guess looks are never the prerogative of this work. It's all about performance for me. Okay, so now I'll be describing what's under the hood. Once it's, of course, fully discussed, that will be installed. And God willing, this never comes off, and this will never be seen again besides this video. So right here is a very special crystal of great notoriety as well called emerald. A large dose right here of tremendous heart chakra stimulation and the quintessential abundance frequency generator in the mineral kingdom right here. So the aspect of emerald is a very famous, literally everybody's heard of this crystal for good reason, as a true precious stone, to be the green ray quintessential regal abundance stimulator of the heart chakra. Then next to that right here will be a very special green ray crystal called prehnite. Prehnite is a fantastic 3rd and 4th chakra stimulant, as well as being a water and earth frequency. It brings a great soothing frequency of water as well as earth to stabilize the energy, and is a tremendous master healer in that right as well. And an aspect I find quite critical in its application is that the green ray of prehnite also makes a very clean attunement to the force of Raphael the Archangel, one of the seraphims close to the source emanation of the seraphic realms, to be the quintessential master healer alignment on this little guy right here to further tune that frequency to a great healing force in creation. Then I'll describe this guy next. Okay. Because certain aspects under here are actually pretty critical to describe in tandem, so I guess I'm going to stick with the agates and jasper concept right now for one little comprehensive conceptualization right now. Okay, so the aspects of the agates and jaspers seen in this construct play a critical role to essentially bring the most stable vibrations of earth, fire, water, and wind, the Lakota medicine wheel, so to speak, of the terrestrial four elements I can get my hands on to bring a very nice stabilized frequency pitch of the four directions of this entire construct. So the aspect I'll start off with red jasper being the quintessential earth elemental root chakra, red ray earth stabilizer. Then going into fire agate seen right here. Fire agate is the stabilized fire energy of the stimulation of the root, sacrum, and solar plexus. Then the water section would be moss green agate seen right here, a small little piece, which is the water elemental stabilization of the heart chakra. Then over here, like discussed, the water elemental stabilization of the fifth chakra, yet it's water and stable, that's why I'm bringing it up again, is to stabilize the fifth chakra in the water elemental realm. Then right here is grape agate, which is the stabilization of the wind elemental 6th and 7th chakras. So when you take the aspects of the earth, fire, water, and wind in the most stabilized vibration possible, it of course will bring that equilibrium harmony of stabilization of the four elements to the auric field and keep one in balance by critical design. And that's exactly what that's made to do by having those homage to stabilizing the four directions, basically. Okay, and so this section I'll be describing one shot as well, because some of these, of course, are quite critical to play in to get off together for a very critical function. So the aspect of the star argonite seen right here is a calcium-based full light body activator and decrystallizer of any stagnant patterns that be manifesting as any kind of dis-ease in all the bodies. Much in tandem with Tibetan black quartz seen right here, which just like seraphinite, star argonite, and Tibetan black quartz all perform the same vibratory function of being a stimulation of the entire chakra column from bottom to top, everything in between, to dismantle patterns of disease. So I guess that's also why I jokingly refer to them as the holy trinity of healing frequencies. I always use as a trilogy, basically. Would be the aspect of seraphinite, star argonite, and Tibetan black quartz all working very powerfully together to dismantle any impediments from the bottom to top of any kind of form of dis-ease and any malady from top to bottom, which makes it a very versatile practical frequency output for any practitioner in any situation, basically. All right, well actually that would be almost the entire hood section now. And then right here is black tektite. Black tektite is a very fantastic product of space impact from nickel iron meteorites that impact the sand, carrying that extraterrestrial jolt, making basically a space obsidian. When a meteorite impacts sand, it carries that cosmic imprintation, which of course gets mimicked in the glass being formed from the heat and the pressure. And luckily, this is a black-gray crystal, which means its extraterrestrial vibratory high threshold is a black-gray from the feet up, basically a fortification of higher vibrations from the ground up in a very even, balanced way, which makes it very advantageous to, once again, encourage a tangible scaffolding vibratory threshold increase for the entire light body's stimulation. Hence, it's there right there for a distinct purpose. At the very top of this right here would be a rose quartz sphere. Rose quartz is a very common, thank goodness, famous pink ray, high heart, divine love stimulation frequency. Hence it's placed at the very top right here to, of course, have the homage to love be at the very apex before this necklace is installed. So that'll be most of the crystals described so far, so I'll go ahead and discuss the oak. So the oak right here is the core of this entire device was sanded to be the core of the device to have oak, which is a very dense atomical structure which has its own quite legendary lore attached to it of being a tree of kings, gods, heroes, you name it. And it was highly utilized by and praised by the druids of old. And so the fun fact about this guy is that it comes from one of my buddies back here. Right, can't quite see it, But occasionally, this oak back here between these two trees, drops things on the ground for me when it's needed. I just walk out there and there's just oak on the ground, so that's where that comes from, here in Mount Shasta. Which, of course, makes for a very nice, strong resonance to be the core of this device to, once again, further proliferate the goal of being a device of conviction. And more clearing of the throat. Okay, so what I do for these videos as well is save this for last because it gets very comprehensive as a capstone for this purpose. Right here, adhered to the wooden core at the core of this device, where this is framed around right here, this would be selenite. Selenite is quite the powerful master healer in its own right, to be a great instrument of the 6th and 7th, 8th non-physical chakras back to one's higher self Godhead, making a very powerful two-way connection point to one's highest self guidance to the conscious self. So by itself, that's very advantageous for the true spiritual adept. But in the aspect also of having that high frequency conscious self induction makes for a very high yield purification of divinity to burn off stagnant energies through the entire auric field, which is very, very advantageous and versatile for the true spiritual aspirant. But the aspect of where selenite really shines in any given spirit tool is this critical feature. With all these crystals mentioned so far in about 26 minutes in this closed-loop reactive circuit all playing off each other and vibrating together in this entire closed-loop reactive circuit, it can take this entire frequency pitch, the selenite that is, and purify all of these crystals in a reactive circuit. It can amplify or intensify these entire group of crystals, but perhaps most importantly, it takes harmonization and smoothing out in equilibrium of this entire crystal group for the entire joint vibration emanation, which basically means it works to, selenite that is, this entire crystal group to purify, amplify, and harmonize all these crystals for a truly dynamic, effective spirit tool, which is a very fun fact that I always do save for last for a comprehensive capstone. Then in tandem with the kyanite seen right here, so kyanite is the most rapid transfer of energy direction in the mineral kingdom. Hence, black kyanite right here is very critical for all light tech, no matter what variety, to be a very powerful grounder, high frequency reactive part of the construct right here to rapidly disperse all this energy mentioned so far very quickly into the earth to make the magic real, is also to work like a surge protector to ensure that the excess pitch of this device is indeed getting through the system, getting through the body, into the earth, no matter where it is, even if it's on an airplane, even if you're on top of a tower, no matter how far you are away from the ground in contact patch of earth. This is designed to rapidly bridge the energy into the earth as absolute quick as possible, which of course has many merits of efficiency. To make the magic real even further with that guy, it's a big prerogative by actually grounding this frequency into the earth for tangibility, so it's actually going somewhere. Then the aspect too of being another etheric Teflon shield, so you can think of any kind of, with this particular crystal, any kind of energy coming in being rapidly diffused through the system. So like etheric Teflon, anything incoming gets rapidly transmuted and recirculated very quickly into the earth. That's hence I'm moving my pen very quickly in a whimsical manner to do my best to illustrate how rapid this black kyanite transfers energy into the earth. Then over here would be the blue cousin of black kyanite, blue kyanite right here, which is a very rapid transfer of the third eye chakra of the right and left hemispheres working in tandem. So the aspect of the right and left prefrontal lobes having any kind of cross friction would inhibit the third eye's functionality. So the aspect of blue kyanite, it quickly bridges through any blockages of the third eye by designing this construct to encourage one's psychic prowess and capacity in connection to creation in that regard. So that also makes for a very powerful dynamic building of bridges of light between the black and blue kyanites to very much find rapid transfer equilibrium at all times to work like try to keep it simple here as I discuss this aspect, kind of like a very auto-reactive sentient crystalline device right here, always working in very dynamically to ensure the highest frequency is being maintained, in particular, of course, a talisman format designed to be worn like so when in ceremony, particularly, or whenever the recipient feels the need or the resonance to wield it, essentially. So that would basically be it. That'd be the lightblade talisman named Conviction. It's quite versatile, quite dynamic, with Now that I discussed all these different crystals making up one vibratory emanation, it's very dynamic and very potent and very versatile for the entire chakra column to be essentially a portable, full light body generator at all times. And that would be it. All right, well, that'd be conviction. 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us.